First comes love.
Friendship.
She fell head over heels in love with him.
Then comes marriage.
They were the superstar couple.
Then comes cheating.
I made you a nurse! I think sex was at the center of a lot of this.
There had been a drug issue with Donna.
Donna Munda was looking for someone to kill her husband.
He's a good man. Was about to meet a bad end. My name is Steve Sharippa. I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York. I've seen good people turn bad and bad people turn worse. Some took contracts to carry out a hit. Some were victims of a hit. To Hitman, life and death are just part of the business. It's nothing personal. May 2005. It's Friday the 13th. But if everything goes according to plan, Donna Munda thinks it's going to be the luckiest day of her life.
She was always positive, upbeat, bubbly, and bouncy, no matter what.
But not right now. Donna's marriage is on the rocks. And today, with the help of her young lover, she's gonna end it with a bang. Gulam Munda is Donna's older, much older husband. A great guy.
People admired him very much for his generosity, for his friendliness, for his openness.
Friday the 13th will be Gulam Munda's worst day on earth. He'll be dead before sunset. He was kind and generous. He loved and supported his wife. I mean, he stood by her through some real hard times. A perfect husband, the perfect couple. So what happened? How does a loving wife become the monster who has her husband murdered right before her eyes? Gulam Munda, a brilliant doctor, is an immigrant success story. Gulam loves America and its riches.
He liked expensive cars and expensive jewelry, watches, custom-made suits. He thought you make enough money, you should spend it too and enjoy it.
And the good doctor has an eye for pretty women.
If he liked somebody, he was flirt with them and, you know, try to get them out on a date like normally people do.
At 43, Gulam Munda meets the woman. Donna's spouse is straight-laced and young. Just 3 years out of high school. Kim Jordan and Debbie Engelbaugh are her best friends.
We all basically came from middle-class families, Christian families, went to church on Sunday, obeyed our parents, never really got in any trouble in school.
Donna comes from a very close-knit family. Many people around here, you go to college, you go somewhere else and work. She came back here, wanted to be in this community.
The older doctor and the pretty young ex-cheerleader hit it off. But he is twice her age.
When she first started dating Gulam, I remember conversations with her on the phone, and she was very hesitant because she was concerned about the age difference.
But Dr. Munda knew how to take care of people. For the next 12 years, he put his young enamorada through nursing school, and then he funded a master's degree. Donna became a nurse anesthetist, top of the line. All the while, Gulam and Donna got closer and closer.
I know she fell head over heels in love with him. even though she was reluctant initially to get together with him.
Gulam's friends think Donna is great. Her wit and beauty sure sparkle up the dinners with his Indian doctor pals, Sachteva and Chata.
They did seem to fit well together as a couple, and meetings or parties, make sure to say hello to everybody and comment on people's outfits and how nice they are, and so people used to like that. She was fairly outgoing. She was a very likable woman.
I kept telling him, why don't you get married? You should get married. It is time. You're getting old. And you should settle down. Then finally he agreed. By that time, they knew each other for a long time. And his wedding was held in my house.
When they married, Donna is 30, Gulam, 54. She moves into his dream house. Life is good. Everyone cheers.
We're a small community, so say anybody is a superstar couple, but they were as close as you would get.
Like a lot of people who make it to the top, Donna Munda started at the bottom. He was born poor in India.
He used to say that there were times when there was not even enough food, in the house, and he used to get by with one meal a day so that his sister could eat.
But Gulam managed to become a doctor. And when he was 34, he came to America for advanced training in urology, a very demanding medical discipline. He settles in Hermitage, Pennsylvania, a peaceful, family-oriented small town. Years ago, immigrants flooded into this area to work the steel mills. Today, the mills are gone. The growth industry now is medicine, perfect for a new kind of immigrant.
When he moved in here, I don't believe there were any other urologists in town, which is maybe the reason that he came. So he worked up very quickly a very large patient base, so he knew lots and lots of people in this community.
As a doctor, Gulam is a true humanitarian.
Thank you very much. Things are going good so far? Awesome.
Honestly, you cannot describe the way he was to his patients. I think he always treated them like his own family, kind-hearted, and above all, in simple terms, very sincere.
That's your urinal tract, right? Sometimes you get some little polyps.
Gulam knows his patients' lives, even in a rich country, can be hard. In Hermitage, Donna Munda is welcomed, honored, and loved.
He supported his patients. He wanted them to take a certain medication, and they just decided they couldn't afford it. It was common that he would order it, and he would pay for it himself to make sure that everybody was taken care of.
Until the last chapter, Donna Munda's life story would have made a wonderful lesson about hard work and sacrifice paying off. Life in Hermitage was a dream come true. Donna and Donna Munda are pillars of the community. Beautiful as she is, Donna's no pampered trophy. She has a full-time medical career of her own. As a nurse anesthetist, Donna works hard, but it is a tough, draining, stressful life.
Give you something for the pain, okay?
Then, tragically, she loses her dad, her main emotional support. It's a shattering blow.
When he died, she was inconsolable. It still makes me emotional because I know that her entire life changed from that point on. She went into such a severe depression that she pulled back from all of us.
The person Donna's friends know so well is about to become a stranger. Almost like her spark died when her dad did. It seems the death of Donna's dad was what triggered her downward spiral. It would take Donna into a world of addiction and send her husband to his untimely death.
What was it that turned her from a woman who Was a hardworking local girl. How did she make that leap to actually want to kill him?
Donna Munda thinks he's off on a wonderful family adventure. He isn't. His wife, Donna, has a terrible surprise waiting for him. She's taking her unwitting husband to his death at the hands of her hitman lover. Very strange behavior for someone who has made a career of saving lives. With her stressful job and the father she was so close to no longer there, Donna is emotionally adrift. She's in a sea of pain and she's sinking fast. She needs somebody to rescue her, but the man who had nurtured her for all these years seems remote, oblivious, absent.
She was in a severe state of depression, and she started to fall into needing to hear the positive things, needing herself to be built up again.
In the household of Hermitage, Pennsylvania star couple, the bloom is off the rose. Donna has hit 40. Gulam's in his 60s. She needs energy and excitement to get her out of her rut, but he just doesn't seem up for it.
Her relationship with Gulam had turned a little bit cold. Their intimate life was not what it had been because of some physical problems Gulam had.
For a time, Donna's work is all-consuming. She can forget her emotional problems, at least for a while.
Clear!
Then everything going on in her life overwhelms her.
Clear! Stay with us, honey. You can do it. Clear!
Donna's job is to ease her patient's physical pain. But Donna's hurting too. In her case, it's mostly heartache. The drugs that ease physical pain can treat that too. On top of all the obvious hazards nurses face, there's one that's kind of a secret. It's, how do I put this? You're working with a lot of people who are suffering. They lean on you. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. They need you to forget yourself and focus on their pain. Because a few drops of what you got in your pocket will make the pain go away. And when you're in the middle of it, tired, your back and your heart hurting, these little vials tempt you. You say, okay, fair is fair. I'll share your pain. If you share your painkiller, fair is fair. Nobody knows how many doctors and nurses use drugs meant for patients, but there are many. And Donna Munda was one of them. Donna was into fentanyl. It's a favorite amongst professionals. Wickedly powerful, but it doesn't show up on a drug test. Fentanyl's more addictive than morphine and 100 times more potent. A few drops are all you need.
Give you something for the pain, okay?
A little misdirection, and you're good to go. Nobody can tell if the patient gets every drop.
It'll all be better soon, dear.
Or if you save a few for a rainy day. And Donna's been facing stormy weather for a while now.
I think things just spiraled out of control for her. She did make some bad choices when it came to the pain medication.
At home, Gulam is the eternal optimist. The marriage is not going well, but he tries to keep it on track.
Welcome home, darling. How you doing? How was your day at work?
Trouble is, he and Donna aren't on the same page anymore.
I think there's still this tendency to look at Donna as the young girl even though they've been married for 20 years. You know, you still have that age difference. The older man being somewhat paternalistic in a way.
Not even her best friends know what's really going on.
She kind of went into isolation. She pulled back. She didn't answer phones. And I think one thing led into another at a very low point in her life. I guess partly, too, I'm emotional because I wish I had known more of what was going on, so I could have been more of a support to her.
She essentially lived a double life. Her family members knew of her as a loving sister and daughter, but she had this other side. She had this drug problem.
Now this one, here.
While Donna has pulled back from her old pals, she and Gulam keep seeing his. With them, she plays the perfect wife. Perfectly.
She seemed very happy, and I used to have a good, good time, and didn't have any specific problem that she felt uncomfortable or we felt uncomfortable.
He never said anything bad which could make me think that there is a problem.
But of course, there's a huge problem, and it's about to get a whole lot worse. Just because fentanyl is easy to steal doesn't mean nobody's keeping track. Donna gets caught. It's a first offense, so Donna just gets probation and rehab. And she gets fired. But that's on the QT.
Her drug charges weren't really well publicized because she never pleaded or guilty or went to trial or anything like that.
Gulam and Donna do an amazing job of keeping her troubles secret.
She kept things very much to herself. Her husband kept things very much to himself.
I mean, he was a private person. I guess that's what he figured out, that it's a private matter between me and my wife.
Always being a very private person, I think on one hand, she would not be comfortable with calling us and saying, hey, I have this problem. You know, I need help or I'm seeking help.
At 42, after studying and working her whole adult life, Donna is an unemployed drug addict with no access to the narcotic her body is screaming for.
She was just emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually crushed. And I don't think she knew quite what to do or where to turn.
She can't turn to Gulam. He's angry and doesn't understand. Donna's now being forced to take a different path. It's rehab or back to court. If you have to go into rehab, you've probably screwed up your life. That's what they call a given. You've messed up at work, your family and friends are fed up. Part of the recovery deal is taking responsibility. Detoxing is hell, but it's nothing compared to the emotional stuff. So instead of changing themselves, a lot of people just look for a new escape. Donna finds one, a new friend. His name is Damian Bradford. Together, they'll be extremely bad news for Dr. Donna Munda. Donna Munda has been through the worst her world can dish out, and she's come out smiling. She feels like she's got a new reason to live, but that reason is the joy she feels in the arms of a young drug dealer. Damian Bradford, Donna's new boy toy. It's in Damian's bed that Donna hatches a plot to rid her life of the one thing keeping her from total happiness, her husband. She's figured the best way to move on with her life is to end his. And to think, it all began in rehab.
When she went to rehab, she was done up to the hilt. I mean, makeup, jewelry, clothes, the whole 9 yards. She wasn't dressed like your stereotypical, and I'm not saying anything derogatory about Rehab, but people have a stereotype.
Donna draws the attention of a fellow rehabber.
What's up, everyone? My name is Damian Bradford, and I've been a bad boy. You know, hopefully I can take something away from here when I leave.
Damian Bradford is 23, cocaine dealer, cocaine user, a bad boy with a gun. He liked steroids and had a good way with the ladies. He had some brushes with the law, drugs, of course, assault, weapons, and he was on parole. Damian was hardcore for small-town Pennsylvania, which meant he could still be fairly pleasant.
He was very well groomed, muscular, very polite, very respectful. He was a smooth talker. He was a very nice guy.
He sure looks fine to Donna. She hasn't had this kind of male attention in a while.
Damian, being an attractive, muscular male, caught her attention, and I think her appearance caught his attention. I'm sure Damian wasn't thinking, hey, this could be some type of long-term thing. I'm sure Damian was thinking, hey, she's attractive, she dresses well, maybe something could happen short-term here.
Okay, exchanging glances is one thing, but acting on them is another.
Anybody who knows anybody who's been in rehab know that rehab romances, while frowned upon, they flourish.
If you're a recovering addict, you're vulnerable. Being off drugs leaves a big, empty hole. You gotta fill it with something. Your addiction says, all right, I can't have drugs. Give me something I could work with, something pleasurable.
When they got physically involved, it was secret. And you had that type of chemistry, that type of excitement. I mean, it was a cheating relationship with all the excitement and everything to go with it.
Donna tells Gulam rehab is really working for her. She feels like a new woman. Maybe the sense of danger adds to the thrill. When Donna and Damian hooked up, he was sharing an apartment with a roommate. So to make sure she could see him whenever she needed a Damian fix, Donna found him his own place, and she paid the rent. His part of the bargain. I think you got the picture by now.
She took care of Damian. She would give him clothes, money. He was, for all intents and purposes, what they call a kept man.
You have a woman that's paying all the bills, a woman that seems to have a healthy appetite. Who in their right mind would walk away from that? I mean, really. It sounds to me like a middle-aged person who meets a young person, a new beginning.
Donna was hooked again. Another full-blown, all-consuming addiction. If she wasn't with Damian, she was on the phone or texting him. A woman obsessed.
They talk to each other at least 40 times a day, either by phone or text messaging.
He called her baby girl, and she called him daddy. Seems kind of far-fetched for a middle-aged woman to be speaking like that, but that's what happened.
Together, Donna and Damian called themselves the Double Ds.
She was at a very low point in her life, and this person probably gave her attention to make her feel that she was important. And I think she kind of just slid right into that because I'm sure he made her feel special.
Her and Damian seemed totally obsessed with each other.
As she falls hard for Damian, living with Gulam becomes impossible.
Their relationship was starting to crack.
She's starting to call her relationship with Gulam an intolerable situation. She refers to Gulam as the prison guard watching her. Gulam has all the money. Gulam has the power.
I made you a nurse!
She tells Damian that Gulam is cruel.
She indicated that he was abusive to Donna Munda. He was controlling, both physically and mentally abusive. Basically a portrait you would paint to someone for the purpose of making that someone dislike your spouse. Damian started getting feelings for her, real, genuine feelings for her.
But Damian's having relationship issues of his own. Remember how pre-Donna, Damian was sharing an apartment? Her name is Charlene. She isn't happy about the double Ds, so she drops a bomb.
Hi, may I speak with Dr. Munda, please?
Turns out Damian's ex-roommate considers herself his fiancée.
Charlene McFrazier, who was Damian's girlfriend, called Dr. Munda and told him about the affair.
But I have some very interesting information about your wife.
Because she doesn't want to lose Damian to this wealthy, older woman.
Yeah, it's been happening for months now.
The cat was out of the bag, and it came out scratching. Donna's marriage hit the rocks hard. And it turned out that old Gulam, generous as he was also prudent. He took some precautions against a change in the marital weather. Way back when, he got Donna to sign a prenup. If they split, she'd get $250,000, no more. But now Gulam was worth about 25 times that much. $6 million and change, to be exact. Gulam's hurt, but he's not vengeful. If Donna wants out, he'll let her go. He even offers her way more than the prenup, just to make it quick and easy.
I'm grateful.
Dr. Munda apparently offered Donna $1 million to walk out of the marriage. Donna refuses.
She wants out all right, but she wants a golden parachute too. Dr. Munda's medical practice had made him one of the richest guys in Hermitage, PA. But Donna had discovered the money was nearly all his. That prenup was the problem, but it only kicked in if the Mundas divorced. There was a way, Donna figured, to get her fair share, to get out of her marriage, to make her lover happy and totally attached. And Gulam was old, nearly 70. Donna figured he didn't have long to live anyway. Why not just speed things up a bit? Damian thinks of himself as a bad boy, but what's going down now is way worse than bad.
Donna told Damian that she wanted him to kill Dr. Munda. She promised him half of what she would get out of the doctor's multi-million-dollar estate.
Damian Bradford had a female throwing money at him, giving Damian a lifestyle he had never experienced before. And she convinced him that she would be receiving millions after the inheritance came in. He's in that lovey, I want to please you stage. It's a bad combination.
Damian agrees. Gulam's got to go. Donna's plan sounds simple. The idea is to make killing him look like a random drive-by.
She had told Damian Bradford that her husband goes to a mosque on a regular basis, and he went there under her direction.
Donna gave him a map, gave him the route. He had his 9mm handgun. Damian followed the doctor to the mosque and sat outside the mosque in his car. Damian was talking to Donna by cell phone during this whole thing, waiting for a chance to shoot him.
And he was going to basically kill him on the street.
Damian Bradford is sitting outside Gulam Munda's mosque, waiting for a chance to shoot him. He spends the time talking to Coach Donna, who offers encouragement and friendly advice. But Damian doesn't get a chance to pull the trigger.
Apparently, there was no clear shot available. There was just never seemed to be the right opportunity. The situation just never felt right.
So Damian follows Gulam back to his office.
He never tried to assassinate the doctor at that point.
Damian believed it was not a good place or time.
So the mosque plan is a bust, but Damian has another idea.
He went back to the house to see Donna Munda.
Damian said, why don't we just do it right here when the doctor comes home that very night? And Donna said, no, but we're going to Toledo pretty soon. We'll set something up then.
Donna and her mother and Dr. Munda were planning on a car trip to Toledo, Ohio, to look at a house that Dr. Munda's nephew was interested in buying. Donna had established this is the opportunity when Damian could kill Dr. Munda.
All the time Donna Munda was plotting her husband's murder, she played the role of the happy wife at home and in public. And even though Gulam knew about his wife's affair with Damian, he never let the facade of happy contentment drop, not even to their closest friends.
We went to dinner, some crab house. There was not any hint of any discord or fights or anything like that. They seemed fairly happy.
Maybe Donna seems fine because she thinks all her troubles will soon be over.
Talking to my good every month.
Every tick of the clock brings closer the moment when she and Damian will be together, rich and free. They go over their scheme one last time.
They met earlier in the day. She gave him directions to Toledo where they were going. Then they separated.
Donna and Damian now have a plan they're convinced will work. An ambush disguised to look like a robbery. It's all set up. The plan's got some flaws, which is why we know about it. But baby girl and daddy, they think they got a winner. The night before the trip, Donna and Damian text furiously back and forth, like always. She tells him she'll fall asleep counting little Damians. Aw, isn't that sweet? May 2005. It's Friday the 13th.
Damian is dressed all in black, dressed in a hoodie over his head, has a baseball cap on, a black shirt, pants, the whole 9 yards. Damian sits in wait at a general store near the Munda house.
She sent some text messages that seemed innocuous enough, but were signals that they were leaving.
Damian watches the three of them leave and starts following them.
The Mundas are on their way to Ohio. Donna has invited her mother, Dorothy, along for the trip. Nice touch. What kind of monster would have her husband murdered in front of her elderly mother, right? Besides, Donna knew her mom was fond of the guy who put her girl through school. This would be the last chance to spend some quality time together. Donna and Damian haven't planned out a location for the hit. At some point, the Munda's Jag will just pull off the road. And Damian will have to wing it. At first, Gulam's at the wheel. About an hour in, he makes a stop. A crowded service plaza is no place for a hit. But the stop does give Donna a chance to take over driving.
When they came out, she wanted to drive and convinced Dr. Munda to let her drive the vehicle.
When they get out of the rest area, Damian follows them. And they drive for about 20 minutes. And it was very sad and tragic for Gulam. And to me, senseless, very senseless. I mean, they could have worked something out. She could have walked away with money. $1 million is a lot of money. No matter what her intentions, Donna was certainly not a hardened criminal by any stretch.
Donna Munda pretended she had some stomach virus or she was nauseous. She pulled off. Damian sped up, got right behind the vehicle within a couple car lengths. The plan was when she pulled off, that meant for Damian to pull off and to execute the plan.
What Donna and Damian have plotted for months is finally going down.
Dr. Munda was on his way out of the vehicle.
Get back in the car.
Damian at gunpoint ordered him back in the vehicle, demanded Dr. Munda's wallet.
Gulam was very scared. There was fear in his face. He did not resist in any way, shape, or form. Just followed orders, gave him his wallet with about $3,000 in it in cash.
Gulam Munda always carries a big wad of cash. He's told his pals it's his survival plan. Anyone who mugs him will go away happy. The mugger will be happy, but Gulam will be dead.
Mrs. Smouse is in the back seat behind the doctor. Donna's in the driver's seat. Damian basically just puts the gun to the side of his head and fires.
Oh, God.
Donna's a nurse. She acts the part of the emergency specialist.
Donna's doing CPR on the doctor. Dr. Munda's dead. For all intents and purposes, probably as soon as the bullet hit him, the bullet hits him right up here, didn't have a chance.
Damian Bradford is long gone. He tosses the gun and hightails it back to Pennsylvania.
She was setting up her husband for nothing but money, having her own mother witness the crime. It was just horrible, horrible.
When the cops get there, Donna tells them what she saw. It's a pile of bull, designed to mislead them. The guy, she says, was short. He had a mean voice, and he was driving a minivan.
I don't know, I reached into my purse and I gave him...
Donna tells the state police that she can't see the gunman's face because he has a ski mask kind of thing over his face.
Donna's story was she couldn't even tell what race the killer was. Thing is, Donna's mother, Dorothy, could. She told the cops the shooter was an African-American. It's not the only place Dorothy and Donna's story diverged. Something that sure to set an investigator's antenna quivering.
We pulled us over, and we pulled over because Gulam wanted to drive, and then this man...
Dorothy tells police Donna decided to pull off the road. Donna says it was her husband's idea. Sure, it's a detail. That's where the devil is, right? In the details.
I got out of the car, and I ran around, and I started to give him CPR.
That was just one of the things that didn't add up. The biggest was that people just don't get robbed and murdered on the sides of turnpikes. Not since Interstate 80 was a stagecoach route anyway. Maybe the double Ds had been watching the wrong kind of shoot-'em-ups. There were other weird things. Why did the highwaymen just shoot one of them? It just wasn't adding up. A few days later, Donna makes a public plea for help.
Please, if anybody knows anything, please help us. That's all I'm asking. My husband was such a good man. He was a kind, loving person. He was a wonderful husband. He did not deserve this.
Actually, the cops are pretty sure Donna is involved. But they need more than a bad feeling to hang a murder rap on a grieving widow. The break comes a week later. The cops get an anonymous call from someone who's sure Donna's dirty. Yep, Charlene's back.
Hi, I have some information.
Charlene calls the state police, tells them about Donna.
I'd rather not give that out.
She doesn't tell her police who she is, but, you know, they figure that out pretty quick.
I have information about a murder that happened on the highway.
Tells them where Damian lives, the whole 9 yards. Charlene got the ball rolling.
Actually, Charlene wants to sink Donna. But investigators link Donna to Damian, and he's the one who gets snagged. The cops hit Damian's apartment. It's big news.
Investigators obtained the search warrant because they say Bradford is a person of interest in the shooting death of Dr. Donna Munda.
The evidence in his apartment, bloody clothes, cell phone bills, and Gulam's money, is more than enough to bring him in. Damian knows that Donna's got his back, just like she'd promised.
He was counting on her to testify that it wasn't him. She was his star witness. They had the text messages. They weren't going to deny the affair. The affair was what it was.
While Damian sits in jail, the cops keep building their case. In a bit of a technical coup, they actually map out exactly where Donna and Damian's cell phones were in the hours leading up to the hit. Damian's only chance is that his baby girl will rescue her daddy.
So Damian had to hope that Donna was going to stick to the plan and testify on his behalf and say it wasn't him. But she chose not to testify. Damian took that as a message of every man for himself.
So, Damian cut a deal. He admitted to killing Donna Munda, and he agreed to testify against Donna. When she went to trial, Damian was the prosecution's star witness, and as you can imagine, the media went ballistic.
There was a lot of interest in this case from the get-go because it had everything. I mean, it had sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
There was a lot of questions of, what's going on here. And it was very, very far leap to go from, all right, so they're not getting along very well, to her actually wanting him dead. People are still grappling with that question. I don't know that there's an answer to it.
To our eyes, at least from my personal perspective, I mean, if anybody asked me at that time, I would say they're crazy to even mention it or even think of it, that she was anyway involved in that.
Till that day, we were giving her benefit of doubt. We were very sympathetic. Then it turned into a complete hate.
The verdict? Donna Munda is guilty. Donna got life without parole. Thanks to his plea deal, Damian Bradford got 17.5 years. If she's still interested, Charlene could have him back in 2022.
Donna had it all. Millionaire's wife, family, friends. She lost it all. She has nothing. She has no money. She's in jail for the rest of her life.
The Donna that I've always known and loved and still know and love to this day and keep in touch with, it would be unfathomable for me to think that she could have ever masterminded or planned anything that would harm Gulam in any way.
And he was a dear friend, like my brother, and so I really miss him deeply,
So it's very senseless. For what? Who gained anything? Nobody won.
It's never made sense to anybody but Donna and Damian. There was another path, less traveled by, but people take it every day. Donna and Damian were on the road to recovery. They got turned around. They had their eyes on the wrong prize. They might recover from their addictions, maybe they already have. But Gulam Munda never will. He never even had the chance to understand what was happening. To him, it was just a senseless crime. Hollywood, California, the factory town that churns out American dreams.
She didn't want to live in the real world. She wanted to live in the fantasy world where everyone bowed to her feet.
Mary Ellen's dream becomes her husband's nightmare.
She was just a femme fatale that nobody ever wants to run into in their life. But Bob did, and he paid the price.
It's a diabolical plot straight out of the movies, with some truly unhappy endings. My name is Steve Sharippa. I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York. I've seen good people turn bad and bad people turn worse. Some took contracts to carry out a hit. Some were victims of a hit. To Hitman, life and death are just part of the business. It's nothing personal. It's early December 1988. A two-bit drug dealer named Jimmy Bernstein is getting ready to do what hitmen call a piece of work. Bernstein's target is Bob Samuels. Samuels is a nice guy who's made a solid career working on Hollywood production crews. But he never figured on a starring role in the bizarre story of his own demise. The problem in Hollywood is separating fantasy from reality. Bob Samuels works on fantasies, but he lives in the real world. As an assistant cameraman, Bob works behind the scenes. The past few weeks, he's been putting in long hours on the movie Lethal Weapon 2. It's an irony he won't live to appreciate. Would-be hitman Jimmy Bernstein is a loser who's never killed anybody. He's been hired for the job by Bob's wife, Mary Ellen. She's been dreaming of a life without Bob.
Mary Ellen Samuels was a truly evil woman. She used everybody that came into her life, and she did it for financial gain.
How does a beautiful Hollywood wife turn from trophy to husband-killing harpy? Well, you know how they say beauty is only skin deep? Mary Ellen Samuels is who they're talking about. To understand why a contract has been put on Bob's life, I need to give you a little of what we call in the business backstory. Bob Samuels grew up 20 miles and a world away from the Sunset Strip in Santa Ana, California.
Well, Santa Ana at the time was very rural. And we had bean fields, orange groves. You could play in the streets, and it was almost like the country in Santa Ana at that time.
Bob has dreams and talent. He likes photography. Old friend Helen Potts and old flame Sherry Toomey always knew he'd make it.
Bob and I would go to the movies a lot. We always liked to see films and to see how it was, you know, you read the credits and all. And he always used to tell me, I'm going to do that someday.
He used to tell me all the time that looking through a camera always gave him a second look at life.
Bob gets an eye full of that second look. He becomes an assistant cameraman on big features, the kind that have the budgets to hire the best guys in town.
14, 4, take 11.
Bob isn't the kind of guy to let it go to his head. Hitting the big time was something to share.
Bob would call me quite often when he was filming out of the state. I remember one night they were filming a movie with Kurt Russell and Kelly McGillis, and Goldie Hawn was there too. And he passed the phone around and we all talked. And movie stars like to hang around with Bob because he's such a nice guy.
Now, working behind the scenes isn't glamorous. Sure, you meet a lot of big stars, but the work's hard, the hours are long, and nobody's inviting you onto the red carpet. I mean, roll it up, maybe. Pose on it, not so much. Bob is doing great professionally, but working crazy hours and traveling for months on end can take a heavy toll on your love life. The serious living relationship Bob has with Sherry Toomey in the late 70s falls apart.
I didn't really enjoy the lifestyle. He was on location quite a bit. And I always said, I'm not going to marry somebody who's not going to be around.
It looks like Bob will never find the right woman to settle down with and start a family. But before the decade is out, he meets the girl of his dreams. Well, he actually's known her since they were kids. But back in high school, dreaming about a beauty like Mary Ellen Gurnick was about as close to her as a guy like Bob Samuels was ever gonna get. Looking at her could stop your heart. As it turns out, it will stop his. Too bad he can't see past that skin-deep beauty.
She was a bright, talented young child. She was, you know, the star of the plays in school. She was very popular, high school, homecoming queen, things like that.
When she leaves Santa Ana High, Mary Ellen was headed for stardom. She gets about as far as her sock drawer. Well, a little better than that. Those shapely gams of hers do their turn in the dazzling lights, showing up in quite a few stocking ads. As for her acting talent, well, let's just say Mary Ellen's legs never carry her to Hollywood. Instead, she gets married, has a kid, gets divorced, and a decade after high school, she's back in Santa Ana, a single mom with a daughter, Nicole. And there she runs into Bob Samuels. But now, nerdy old Bob has the glow of Hollywood about him. The formerly unattainable homecoming queen is his for the asking. Unfortunately for him, he does.
They seem very happy. She had a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of spunk. She was a character, real outgoing.
Before you could say action, Mary Ellen is starring in her own production of Wedding Album 2. She and Bob tie the knot in 1980.
He had a home that he lived in when he married her. He made it their home. Nicole was already in the picture. He adopted her. He sent her to private Catholic schools. He was just a very caring, loving, hardworking family man.
So Bob gets his dream, a sexy wife, an instant family, and Mary Ellen gets her fantasy, an entree into Tinseltown's star-studded social scene. But you know the problem with dreams? You wake up. Happens every time.
I think she probably believed she would have this glamorous lifestyle. And when she realized that they lived in a home in the San Fernando Valley, and he got up and he went to work, and it was just your normal, average, everyday life, she got a little bit bored.
The parties are occasional. The work is constant. Mary Ellen has a hard time waking up and smelling the cappuccino. She isn't the center of the celebrity universe. She's a nobody. And gazing across the pillow at Bob Samuels doesn't sweeten that bitter pill.
Mary Ellen was, I don't know if she was in love as Bob was with her. She was very flirtatious.
Luckily, she still has some assets, and she works them.
I know Bob used to get upset with her all the time about the kind of clothes that she would wear because they were very revealing. Mary Ellen was just not conservative.
So what happens when your visions of heaven crash to earth? You choose, reconcile or run. Mary Ellen goes running, all right, running up bills.
One evening he called me and he said, Sherry, Mary Ellen spent $22,000 in 1 month and I have nothing to show for it. And so I think at that time is when he realized there may be a problem.
She also finds a crowd who treats her like a star, but they aren't exactly A-listers, more like degenerates, and she's very close with her fans.
She'd have herself a boyfriend, you know, different ones, and she was running with a real unsavory bunch of people. Bob was aware that Mary Ellen cheated on him. They broke up several times, but then Mary Ellen would always lure him back again.
When people told him, you know, maybe you should have second thoughts, but he was determined to stay married. He wasn't the type of person to fail at anything.
So, Bob had a plan to save his marriage. He bought Mary Ellen a sandwich shop. Now, that sandwich shop, it's kind of the whole story on a bun. The guy's thinking, I know what the little woman needs. Something to do, you know, a little mad money. But that's not her dream. It's her nightmare. Slinging subs in the San Fernando Valley? Oy! And she's thinking, boy, did I hitch my wagon to a dog? This boy's gotta go. For all of its glamour, Hollywood is a dog-eat-dog town. If you don't make it as a top dog, you become a marginal mutt like Jimmy Bernstein, a shifty, low-rent opportunist. Jimmy carries a business card that reads, James V. Bernstein, specialist, but his only specialty is posing as a player. Thanks to Mary Ellen Samuels, he's a player tonight. And the game is murder. It took a couple of years for Bob Samuels to understand that he had a bit of a fantasy reality problem of his own. He wooed and won the hottest babe in Santa Ana, but she wasn't in reality the woman he fantasized about.
He loved Mary Ellen very much, but who he met in high school obviously wasn't who he married. And I don't think she became real until he was married probably about 4 years. The whole purpose, I think, of marrying Bob was monetary, because I don't think she had very much growing up. And so all of a sudden she was, you know, into this great life, and it is a good life. She partied all the time.
Other than Bob Samuels, who was a normal person, Mary Ellen didn't associate with anybody who had a steady job, who had family values. Most of the people that she associated with either were selling drugs or were using drugs.
And the sandwich shop that's supposed to give her a pastime and an income, it doesn't quite pan out. Mary Ellen doesn't roll up her sleeves, but she does expose her claws. The place becomes a combination coke den and piggy bank.
When he'd go away on location, she would always get robbed. He told me that he got her a safe, and he put it in the back room, and he told her, don't leave that much money in the drawer. Take it back and put it in the safe. And he'd come home from location again, all her money was stolen again, been robbed again, but that's not what was happening. And she was involved with drug sales and using drugs herself.
Mary Ellen was into a lot of cocaine, and that's where all the money went.
Poor Bob tried everything. He begged, he pleaded, he read books about how to keep a marriage together. Mary Ellen had no time for it. For one thing, she was busy bringing daughter Nicole over to the dark side. By the time she's hit her teens, Nicole has taken a lead role in her mother's unhinged drama.
Nicole Samuels, she was a 16-year-old girl, very attractive young lady. She had a wonderful life, and yet she seemed to be a good student for Mary Ellen Samuels. She grew up in this school of manipulation. She also learned very early on to dress provocatively and go bar hopping.
Mary Ellen and Nicole were like twins. They liked to do everything together. I remember one time there was a wedding, and they came, and it was a nice, pretty afternoon wedding, and Nicole and Mary Ellen walked in there with matching twin leather jumpsuits, skin tight. I mean, they look like Catwoman.
Mary Ellen doesn't just suck in her own daughter. She brings along all Nicole's friends. This vixen is den mother to a whole gang of party kids, including Selena Kroll.
Nicole was my best friend, my confidant. We talked about a lot of things. We used to go to clubs with Mary Ellen. I was only 16 at the time, and although we were underage, we still got in. We still drank. We did everything that a 21-year-old would do. We used to go to Beverly Hills, anywhere in LA. You know, the sky's the limit, because we didn't pay for anything, and we weren't expected to.
Mary Ellen, for the most part, hung out with people who were much younger than her. She actually spent quite a bit of time with her daughter Nicole's friends.
She was just overboard at all times. I mean, even down to her clothing. She was just, you know, always hanging out and just, you know, the shortest dress she could put on and the highest heels she could possibly wear. She was the cool mom. She was, you know, if you want to have a good time, go hang out with Mary Ellen and Nicole.
And who's stuck with the bill for this night crawling? You guessed it, Bob. But what hurts more than the bar tabs is financing his adopted daughter Nicole's transformation into a mini version of her mother. Let's not forget Bob has raised and cherished Nicole as his own.
Bob was so unhappy, you know, with the situation, because Mary Ellen was not a very good mother and not directing her in the right way that she should have done.
Finally, in 1986, Bob admits to himself that he and Mary Ellen are doomed. After 6 years of tumultuous matrimony, Mary Ellen moves into a condo and takes Nicole with her. Bob is devastated. She does fine. And why not? The bills still go to his house. So even after they separated, Bob supported Mary Ellen and her lifestyle. I mean, this broad had some expensive tastes. Bob's heart is breaking and his wallet keeps groaning. Mary Ellen continues to shower his cash on her pleasures. Clothes, jewelry, vacations, cocaine, you get the picture. If you don't, check out her license plate.
The license plate was a custom one, and it said Nasty Vixen, which was pretty prophetic.
Things go on like this for a couple of years. Bob clings to the fantasy that his dream girl will someday return. But Mary Ellen has no desire to become someone she never really was. So Christmas 1988 was not the most wonderful time of the year for Bob Samuels. Bob and Mary Ellen had been separated for 2 years. So he's heading into another Christmas alone in an empty house. Could it get any more depressing? Turns out, it certainly could. By 1988, something has changed. Maybe turning 40 that fall makes Bob decide to move on with his life. Whatever his epiphany, he gets serious about a divorce. Mary Ellen does the math and quickly concludes that, for her, divorce would be a disaster. Widowhood, on the other hand, now that could work. One of Hollywood's greatest, Mae West, had that line. Is that a gun in your pocket, or you're just happy to see me? Mary Ellen Samuels was not unfamiliar with flirtatious repartee, but this time she really was looking for a guy with a gun in his pocket. By the fall of 1988, with divorce looming, Mary Ellen Samuels is getting desperate. For 2 years, she's been trolling amongst LA's bottom feeders for someone she can beguile into bumping off Bob so she could get all he owns.
You spent 2 years pretty much talking to everybody that she met in those circles about how much she hated her husband and how much she wanted to have him killed.
But it's kind of like her acting career. No one takes her seriously. Maybe it's that her plots seem straight out of Tom and Jerry cartoons.
She talked a lot about a lot of things. And it wasn't this one scenario, it was 100 different scenarios. Let's drop something on his head. Let's have the garage door opener come down on top of him. She told so many people that it was kind of comical.
If you're looking to have someone killed, discretion might seem like a good idea. It's unbelievable that nobody calls the cops. Gives you an idea of the crowd Mary Ellen's running with.
There were a couple of people who appeared to take her up on it, at least 2 or 3 occasions, where people agreed to have Bob killed or to kill Bob, only to take the money and run.
I was still young at the time and naive. You don't really think that people are gonna do something like that.
Maybe old Mary Ellen was just getting a little long in the tooth to inspire homicide, even for money. But Nicole, now, she was a babe. They are so close, so tight, that Mommy Dearest enlists her darling daughter into helping with her little problem.
She used her 16-year-old daughter to look for a hitman. She drew her 16-year-old daughter into this evil plot.
Nicole and I were at school one day, and she said, I need to get a gun. People don't usually carry those things around with them or have them in their locker. Nicole became like her mom. She really did, in several aspects, because her mom molded her to be a little Mary Ellen. It was all about appearance and what this guy could give you. And that was the bottom line.
Even baiting her honey trap with Nicole isn't an instant success. But Mary Ellen has a predator's eye for picking out the vulnerable or weak-willed. Jimmy Bernstein is just the prey she's been hunting for.
James Bernstein was very tall, a heavy-set guy, a loner. I don't think he had any friends. He was a drug dealer, and not the typical person you would see Nicole with.
Jimmy is over the moon. Nicole is way out of his league. He can't believe his good luck.
She needed something from James Bernstein, and that's why she was with him.
Jimmy Bernstein even asked her to marry him. So did some other guy. To most girls, that would be a dilemma. To Mary Ellen's daughter, it was more of a brain teaser. Which fiancé went with which ring?
Nicole had 2 engagement rings, and she would switch them back and forth, depending on who she was seeing or not seeing. It was pretty much a yo-yo game.
Jimmy doesn't know he's one of a pair of potential grooms. He's only engaged to one girl, and he loves her. So, Jimmy's in love, and now Mary Ellen spins him a tale. She tells him that Bob Samuels is an evil, abusive man who's been raping his beloved Nicole since she was a kid.
Mary Ellen started talking about how he used to abuse her and how, you know, she needed to take care of it because she couldn't live like this anymore.
She had, I think, a black eye, and maybe some bruising around her neck or her shoulder. And she told the neighbors that Bob had beaten her up. And it turned out that she just had plastic surgery. And she was just using this plastic surgery and the natural bruising to perpetrate this myth. So there was never any evidence.
Jimmy swallows it hook, line, and sinker.
Nicole pretended to be engaged to Jim Bernstein while she was engaged to somebody else to draw him into this plot so that he would feel so outraged at what they claimed was happening to them that he'd go out and have Bob killed. They wanted him to do it with sort of a sense of righteousness, like, you know, riding their white horse into the sunset, trying to save these damsels in distress. That was part of their manipulative brilliance.
So Jimmy's being played for a fool, but it's hard not to empathize with the guy. He really thinks the girl he loves is being abused by an evil, evil man. I mean, what would you do? Would you cross the line? Mary Ellen had herself a hitman.
Robert Samuels was not an abusive husband, although that certainly is what Mary Ellen and Nicole wanted the world to believe.
So just as the 1988 holiday season is getting up to speed, Jimmy Bernstein is fired up with a misplaced desire to protect his beloved. Perfect timing for Mary Ellen, who seems to have gotten wind of Bob Samuels' new resolve to cut her loose. She even feeds Jimmy cash to keep his anger stoked and his mission clear, a whopping $1,500. As for Bob, he sees Mary Ellen and Nicole from time to time. Too bad that Spider-Man movie is stuck in development. If he was working on that one, he might know what his spidey senses are picking up.
We had talked, and he had told me, he said, I think there's something going on. You know, he goes, I don't know what it is. He told me that he had had a great life and that he had done everything that he wanted to do in life. And I said, well, what are you saying? Because it really surprised me by the way he was talking. He had a premonition.
Bob Samuels' marriage is about to end. That much is certain.
He was telling me that it was almost final. He was going through with it this time, and he was going to finish this divorce.
Mary Ellen's plan is to make sure what ends it is that till death do us part thing. And love-struck Jimmy Bernstein is her unwitting tool. When you're watching a movie, you don't think about what goes into making it. Bob Samuels is one of those guys who made sure everything was perfect, so that when the lights go down, we're transported into a story that seems real. In her own way, Mary Ellen was a great actress. In the dim lights of those sleazy San Fernando bars, she nailed the part of the abused and protective mother. And that act tricked a guy who got another guy who got a gun, and 2 days later, showtime. It's the night of December 7, 1988. Bob gets back from work. He has a shower. Somebody gets in the house somehow. Bob has bought a tanning bed. Hey, you gotta look your best when you work in showbiz. The cops think he might have been headed to it. Who knows? Wherever Bob was going, he never gets there. He is jumped in his front hallway, clubbed, hurt bad, but still alive. A pillow is put over his head. He was 40 years and 2 months old. We don't know for sure who was here the night Bob got killed, but we know enough. It could have been just Jimmy Bernstein, Nicole's fiance, or it could have been a guy named Mike Silver, Bernstein's pal. Or it could have been both of those guys. But no matter how you slice it, poor Bob Samuels was dead. And the grieving widow knew it.
Hi, Bob, it's Mary Ellen. Listen, I'd like to leave the dog with you for a while this Friday. Nicole and I have something to do. Could you call and let me know if that's all right? Hi, Bobby, it's me. Haven't heard back from you about Friday. I guess you're busy working. But could you give me a dingle? Are you there, Bob? Why aren't you picking up? Maybe I'll just bring the dog over anyway.
So, that was part 2 of Mary Ellen's plan. She leaves Bob a bunch of messages even though she already knows he's dead. That'll prove she wasn't involved, right? I mean, who leaves messages for a dead guy? She let him lie there dead in the hallway for 2 days, leaving message after message to his corpse. Then finally, Mary Ellen and Nicole turn up at the house, just like the messages said. Bernstein has been told to make the hit look like a burglary gone wrong, but he flubs it. So what do Bob's wife and daughter do? If you want something done right, you do it yourself. They pull out drawers, they topple furniture, they even take a crowbar to the door frame until it looked like, well, a fake burglary.
Nicole called me the day after it happened. It's done. We went to the house. He was there. It didn't look messed up enough, so we messed it up some more. Yeah, I didn't want to know that. I didn't think it was going to happen in the first place, and then to be put in that situation, I just didn't know what to do at all.
Satisfied with her handiwork, Mary Ellen finally calls 911. Detective George Daly gets the case.
Mary Ellen called 911 and said that she had gone over to her husband's house, having not been able to contact him by phone. And when she got there, found him lying deceased in the hallway. And as such, she, like all other family members, start out as persons of interest. And once they're ruled out, we go on to, other things. So we took her story for what it was, and we worked our way through everything else from there.
But right from the get-go, things look screwy.
It was amateurish. You could tell just that a burglary hadn't occurred, that this scenario was set up.
The flaw in Mary Ellen's plan? She forgot to take anything valuable. Detectives pick up on little details like that. That's why they call them detectives. Down at the cop shop, Mary Ellen is still playing her widow too young scene. She throws in a big helping of slutty tramp because it's always worked for her. But hey, this is a tough crowd.
Well, Mary Ellen was a deceptive kind of person. You could tell that right away. Here we're involved in a murder investigation, and she's flirting and trying to be cute. She tried to look cat-like all the time. I guess she felt that people would be drawn to her. Everything about her just seemed to be wrong.
The cops didn't buy her act. Like I said, tough crowd. They knew Mary Ellen had to be involved. But life isn't a movie. Making a case in the real world involves more than seeing through an act. For starters, you need some evidence. And unfortunately, there isn't any to be had. Mary Ellen walks off scot-free. She gets to keep playing the widow. But the reviews of her performance, especially at Bob's funeral, are not altogether positive.
Mary Ellen told me they went on quite a shopping trip. They had to have new dresses for the funeral, and Mary Ellen came with a real tight, backless, black dress on. I mean, it was like a cocktail dress. And she was actually like enjoying herself. Oh, hi, hi.
She was running around like it was some kind of a showing, like a party, instead of a time to mourn.
Nicole's supporting role is also deemed to be lacking a certain authenticity.
Oh, her daughter was the same way. I mean, they were all glamorized, you know? I looked at Sherry and I said, Sherry, this is not a woman in mourning. I smell a rat.
We got the tombstone. Mary Ellen didn't pick it out. His sister did. She never even knew what it said.
Now, with Bob 6 feet under, Mary Ellen's lifestyle dramatically improved. And why not? She inherited everything he worked his entire life for. On top of that, she had a cool $250,000 from Bob's life insurance company. Oh yeah, they paid. They had to. Nobody was charged. Mary Ellen even moved back into Bob's house.
The crime scene in the house was in the hallway. And instead of cleaning the carpets, they threw a throw rug over it to hide it and just went as normal, like nothing happened.
With the housekeeping taken care of, Mary Ellen got to the real business of coping with her husband's unsolved murder. All that new cash proved helpful. She found solace in a Porsche. She mourned in the dressing rooms of 100 boutiques. And she wiped her tears on lacy little peekaboos she picked up at Hollywood's trashy lingerie.
In total, Mary Ellen Samuels got the equivalent of about $500,000. She threw herself a very elaborate birthday party, hired limousines, bought a condominium in Cancun, bought fur coats. She was leading the life that I suspect she thought she deserved.
But not all of the plays in Mary Ellen's drama have her panache. Remember Jimmy Bernstein, Nicole's fiance? You know, Bob's killer? Jimmy is having a hard time. He figures out he's being played for a chump. Getting dumped by the new heiress is salt in the wound.
He sees the flamboyant lifestyle that Mary Ellen Samuels is living, and he's not a part of it. So whether it's pangs of guilt that caused him to decide that maybe he should go to the police, or jealousy, who knows? But he was definitely suggesting to people around him that he'd had it and he was going to go to the police.
It looked like Jimmy Bernstein was going to be the showstopper who brought down the curtain on Mary Ellen and the fantasy life she was now living for real. But Mary Ellen had an interesting way of dealing with problematic relationships. And Jimmy Bernstein was now in her crosshairs. If I was Jimmy, I'd be looking over my shoulder.
Mary Ellen Samuels had few choices. I suppose she could have tried to seduce him as she had others, but how long would that last? And it was sort of natural for somebody like Mary Ellen. She'd gotten away with it once before. Why not just get rid of him?
So, how do you rid yourself of a used-up patsy? Hit those dark and dingy bars, turn over those rocks, and find another.
Mary Ellen Samuels was very good at identifying people who were at a point in their lives where they were easily manipulated. Either young, vulnerable people, people who had issues or problems with drugs.
Paul Gall was a guy who, because of his economic circumstances, almost didn't have a chance against Mary Ellen. They pried him with money, and he accepted because he didn't have any money.
She knew Gall had lost a brother to drugs. Jimmy was a dealer. Dealers deserved to die. Paul could see her point. To seal the deal with her latest assassin, Mary Ellen sucked in another needy stooge, Gall's girlfriend, Ann Hambley.
She was a woman who had her own issues, probably didn't have a lot of confidence in herself, didn't have much going on in her life, and here comes Mary Ellen Samuels, this wonderful, exciting, flamboyant lady.
Ann apparently owed some money to Mary Ellen, and she recruited Paul Gall and Darrell Ray Edwards to do this thing on James Bernstein. And I guess they agreed to do it to wipe out Ann Hambley's debt.
Paul Gall was the one who orchestrated the plan. He was living with the friend Ann Hambley. Together, they decided to let Jim Bernstein move in with them so that they could keep close track of him until they were ready to execute their plan.
So, Mary Ellen's acting career is finally taking off. I mean, how many people do you know who've roped in not one, not two, but up to 4 people to kill on her command? Jimmy and Mike for Bob, now Paul and Daryl for Jimmy. Very impressive. Incredible. Take that, Meryl Streep. For most women, life as a widow starts out pretty rough. Sometimes people need to get away, clear their heads, take a break from all that grief. Sometimes they need to head to Cancun with a sack full of cash and indulge in a little fashion shoot with their new squeeze. This year's color? Green, as in greenbacks. Lots of them.
The two of them are partying in their room, and somebody got the brilliant idea that it would be fun to take pictures of her covered in this money.
Sometimes you need to get away to find solace and inner peace. And sometimes you need to get away to establish an alibi because you've hired a guy to kill the man you tricked into murdering your husband. Hey, it happens. Mary Ellen Samuels has blown through most of the $500,000 she inherited since husband Bob was put in his grave 6 months ago. Back in L.A., Jimmy Bernstein's about to pay the price for falling into Mary Ellen's web. The guy delivering the invoice will be Paul Gall and his chum Daryl. Paul's an amateur, just like Jimmy was, so he steadies his nerve with some brewskis. In fact, he could barely stand. How they managed to get into the car, thoughtfully lent by Mary Ellen, is a mystery. Jimmy thinks he's going along to help them steal some drugs. The plan is to strangle Jimmy in the car. Turns out, Bernstein doesn't want to die. Unlike Bob Samuels, he has a split second to run for his life. But, unfortunately, he doesn't run fast enough.
Paul took him, he punched him in the esophagus a whole bunch of times so that he would not be able to breathe. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes of sustained pressure on somebody's throat in order to strangle them. They did that, threw his body over a ravine, took all of his identification and tossed that. And then they went back to Ann's house and partied.
It took a month to find Jimmy in that ravine. IDing him took a while too, but they did. When investigators went to his house, they found some paperwork that linked him to Bob Samuels' killing. They also discover a $25,000 life insurance policy Jimmy had taken out the day after Bob was whacked, naming his soon-to-be ex-fiancée Nicole as his sole beneficiary. Poor Jimmy was another deluded sap with a fantasy-reality disconnect. Detective Daly calls Mary Ellen in for another heart-to-heart. To break the ice, he asks about Bob's murder.
This is where it happened, in the bar.
Somebody walked right up to you and...
I was sitting at the bar, some guy came over, he bought me a drink, we're in general conversation. I was madder than hell at Bob at this particular time.
And what made you make a comment? Did you make a comment or something that elicited this guy to say that he would be glad to help kill your husband? What kind of a comment would elicit some kind of a thing like that from a stranger in a bar?
You'd be surprised at conversations that happen in a bar.
But the main piece of evidence they find is Ann Hambley, Paul Gall's housemate.
I don't know. We had drinks.
She knows the whole story, and it pours out of her.
What did you hear?
Being party to a homicide wasn't sitting too well with Ann, who also feared she might know too much for Mary Ellen's comfort. She had that right.
Mary Ellen was beginning to plot the murder of Ann Hambley, and for much the same reason. She really knew too much.
So she gave up Paul. When Paul discovered that shutting up Jimmy Bernstein was enough to put him in the gas chamber, Paul traded Mary Ellen's neck for his own.
This is what doesn't make sense. If I supposedly, was going to have this done, you think for a minute I would open my mouth to a lot of people? Does that make any sense to you? If I ever was going to do something
You know what's
This
funny
stupid.
about it? It doesn't make any sense to me because I think if I was planning to have my husband done away with, I don't think I'd mention it to anybody.
I've said I hate you and things like that, but I've never, ever in my life wanted the man dead.
She was manipulating, she was conniving, and we had it in our mind that this was all a big act. You're a principal accessory to murder.
Oh, yeah.
See?
Well, I'm not.
And all of these things are going to get put together, and Mary Ellen, you're gonna have to pay the price of this thing.
Well, I'm telling you something right now. This is just bull. I have never, ever.
Who else can we look to, Mary Ellen? I put my handcuffs on her, and we brought her to jail. That was rewarding, I tell you. That's a high most people never, ever attain in their whole life. She just never envisioned that this was ever going to happen to her. She just thought she was home free. But, yeah, the wheels of justice roll slowly, but they will roll over you at times.
At her trial, Mary Ellen tries to revive her Despot Abused Wife Act. The jury finds it unconvincing.
She was trying so hard to be this, caring, loving, endearing personality.
I was there every day of trial, and they tried to make her out to be a Girl Scout cookie mom with a midlife crisis.
One of the things that she did was to try to turn things around on the police. And she testified on the stand that the only reason that the police zeroed in on her and arrested her to begin with was that they wanted to ask her out on a date, and she refused.
That performance tanks too, especially compared to the sordid tale the cops unfold. They have the check she'd written to her hitman.
She tried her best to be regal and to be, prim and proper and that. But as the trial went on, I think she was totally disrobed. I mean, she really was shown to be what she was, an avaricious, greedy woman.
They wowed the court with Mary Ellen's Cancun Roadshow.
Mary Ellen lying on a bed, nude, covered in approximately $20,000 in $20 bills. It just showed right through this photograph exactly what this woman was made of.
That happy snap was the most effective modeling Mary Ellen ever did. She makes headlines, and she earns the moniker, the Green Widow.
She was just a femme fatale that nobody ever wants to run into in their life. But Bob did, and he paid the price.
That shot even gets her into California's most exclusive club, Death Row. At long last, Mary Ellen is going to socialize with people who can appreciate her talents.
The defense at that time brought in Mary Ellen Samuel's elderly parents, and they were elderly, and they were ill, and they were very feeble, and it was very heart-wrenching for anybody sitting in the courtroom to watch these elderly people basically begging the jury to spare the life of their daughter. And they talked about how she had everything, and was given everything as a child. They didn't know anything about the condo in Cancun. They didn't know anything about her Porsche. They were living on a fixed income, not too far, about 2 hours away from Mary Ellen. During that year, when she's out there leading this lifestyle, she went once to visit her elderly, fragile parents. So to me, that was, if you didn't know before, you knew at that point who Mary Ellen Samuels was.
She could have had a good life the way it was, but she chose not to. She chose the other path. She didn't want to live in the real world. She wanted to live in the fantasy world where everyone bowed to her feet.
Can you imagine going out to dinner talking about how you're going to kill your husband, and then to actually have somebody do it for $1,500? I was very angry with her. I mean, he would have paid her any amount of money she wanted. He would have done anything to keep Mary Ellen. And really, I'm surprised she didn't know that.
Paul Gall takes the stand against Mary Ellen. He does his time and is now out on parole. His accomplice, Darryl, is still rotting away in prison. As for Nicole, well, the DA decided not to charge her. She changed her name and moved away. She now has grown-up children of her own and says she doesn't want to talk about the past. Maybe that's okay. Maybe it's not. I mean, the way the DA figured it, Nicole was just a kid with an evil mother. Me? I'm not so sure. Bob Samuels is buried in his hometown, Santa Ana, California. He shouldn't be there. He should be alive. He was a good, hard-working guy who didn't deserve to be the target of a homicidal plot. And there's nothing clever to say about that. It's just a dirty, rotten shame.
All he did was love her. And consequently, it's what got him killed. Poor guy.
And Mary Ellen? Well, she did get what she always wanted. The lead role in a great piece of theater. The end isn't quite what she had in the script, but hey, that's Hollywood for you. Somebody's always messing up your masterpiece.